Hello, and welcome to my first virtual series, the 2-day Power Circle series for women in food, hospitality, and leadership. Let's get started. I am going to share my screen. Let's just get into it for a second. I got some music going in the background. Not sure if you can hear it or not, but I'm over here jamming. Like, music makes me feel good. Hope it does the same for you too. Okay, so let's see. All right, so welcome to the Power Circle for women in food, hospitality, and leadership. A little bit about me, Boss Lady RC. I'm a business strategist and leadership mentor. I have real world experience in food, hospitality, and the service industries. I bring real guidance, soul centered, intuitive strategies to every one on one session with my clients. With over a decade in the food and service industry, from managing the teams to launching my own catering business, I know firsthand what it means to lead under pressure and burning myself out. Trust me, y'all, I know. After years of grinding nonstop, I realized hustle alone wasn't enough. I wanted strategy. I needed support. I needed freedom. And now I help other women do the same thing. I had to figure some of these things out on my own, and I had to get a mentor to help guide me to that next level. So now that I'm able to guide you to that next level. My mission is to help high achieving women ditch the burnout and build bold, profitable brands without shrinking themselves or overworking themselves. When I'm not coaching, consulting, or mentoring, you can find me being a mom, a wife, and just enjoying life, doing whatever activities my kids usually want to do. And right now it's summertime and it's hot in Las Vegas, and all they want to do is get in the pool. Now, I'm your business bestie, Boss Lady RC. I'm helping women lead with clarity, operate with ease, and grow with intention without burning out or shrinking themselves. So, let me help you in your business or personal development. So, tonight is day one, and we're going to talk about leading and managing like a boss. Learn how to lead with clarity and confidence while building systems and a service that works even when you're not in the room. Um, Sometimes when you're a solopreneur, we're doing everything by ourselves. And I think that it's important that as you're growing, when you start bringing other people onto your team, or even if you're contracting people, that people still get the same service. They still get the same quality of service, the same quality of food, the same quality of customer service, the same quality of experience that you would bring to the table if you're there or you're not there. Like everybody should experience your brand in the same kind of way. So tonight we're going to cover leadership in high pressure industries, building team accountability and trust, delegating, hiring, and creating SOPs, managing stress, and protecting your energy all at the same time. Leadership in high pressure industries or environments. So, for one, it's important to keep calm during busy times or when conflicts arise. This is something that, make sure my microphone didn't go out. This is something that I have encountered a few times when I was working as a manager, especially. Let's just say people are always going to be people and people are always going to be difficult. So it's important as the leader that you reflect being able to stay calm and handle tough situations to your team. So, not that because if you're panicking, then they're going to panic. Like the energy just passes on to your staff or your team or whoever you're working alongside. So you want to make sure that you're keeping cool. Even if you have to walk away for a few seconds, take a deep breath, gather your thoughts, get it together, and then come back and finish dealing with the situation. Next is you want to make sure you keep communication clear. Um, If there's something needs to be done, something needs to be said, something needs to be happen, just make sure that everything is clear amongst those that are involved so there's no misunderstanding like, oh, I thought you wanted this, I thought you needed that, because then it can just make the conflict or the situation just worse, or just intensify even more. So that's just something that you just make sure you're clear about what it is that needs to happen to your team, within the situation. The most important thing is to de-escalate the situation. And, you know, every business is different. So it's hard to say for sure how to de-escalate the situation. That can either be a refund, a discount, a free item, a free service, a discount on a service. It can, involve all types of different things, but the number one thing is to de-escalate the situation, take care of the customer, and you still want to gain loyalty with that customer, even if the situation was tough. You know, de-escalate it, thank them for their service, have a good day. Next is stay respectful towards team and clients and customers. This this probably should have been at the top. This is something that's just so important to me because recently I had encountered a very disrespectful client. And it was so hard for me because um it's not like I'm the only person that this client had been disrespectful toward. And working with the company who like brought on this client, um they kind of have allowed this behavior with this client, and it's just something that I just couldn't tolerate. I haven't ever allowed myself to be disrespected by a manager, a boss, or anybody through all my years of working, through having my own business, and it's just like, okay, I'm not gonna start today. And we don't have to get disrespectful, calling each other names back and forth, but there needs to be an understanding that, for one, respect is free. And two, um, I just want people to understand that just because you have a high paying client or customer, whatever the situation is, that doesn't give anybody a right to disrespect anybody. Like I say, respect is free. It doesn't cost anything. So don't ever feel like you can belittle me or disrespect me or talk to me crazy because sis, I am not the one, okay? Like, just don't. Like, I would be done with you, okay? And, respect is everything. And I know that sometimes in business, we can't, it's not to scare all your customers away because then you wouldn't have customers, but people just need to understand it's just like, hey, listen, we don't have to go there, and it's not all just about respecting, about it only being one-sided, like the customers are everything. No, your team is important too. So it's important to also protect your team when they're being, respected by a client or a customer. It's not just all about the customer. Sometimes you have to let one bad fish go to attract 10 good ones back to you. Okay. Next is educating team on when to bring management into any conflicts. If you are having any kind of conflict or issue, as soon as they ask for a manager or a leader, the boss, the owner, whatever, then right then and there, that's when you bring somebody in. But if they're trying to de-escalate the situations, after a couple minutes or one or two tries to de-escalate it and they're still having issues, then it's like, let's bring in the manager. Let's bring in the boss to try to help the situation, the person who can make the final say and what's gonna happen and how we can, dead this interaction and move forward. And again, lead by example. Your team follows after you. So if you're panicking or going crazy or you're shouting at people or being disrespectful towards people, then they're going to follow that same energy. And that's not the kind of energy that you want to put out. So Lead with grace. Like I say, sometimes we might have to walk away, catch our breath, get our thoughts together, woosah, whatever it is, and then come back to the situation. Okay. So, what's one leadership challenge you faced this month? I told you mine with the rude, disrespectful client that I encountered. What's yours? Right, next is build team accountability and communication. Creating a team culture where everyone knows their role and shows up strong. We'll talk about a little more. I'll go into this a little more about standard operating procedures, but you want to create a culture within your team where everybody knows their job. And if they don't know something, you also want to have an open door policy to where they're able to come and ask you or ask the next person in charge, what do I do? Where do I go? How can I be better from here? But you want to, there should be process for everybody. Everybody should know what to do, how to proceed, how to move on. It's very important. This is very important, especially for times where maybe you won't be there. Maybe you have a doctor's appointment, emergency, the kids is having things at school, whatever the situation is. Everybody should know their role, you know. Next is encourage open communication. Just like I say, you want to have an open door policy where people can talk to you. You don't want to be the type of leader or boss where people don't feel like they can't talk to you. Like, what type of environment is that? We a lot of us have been in situations where it's like we can't talk to our boss. We feel like, oh my God, if I go and tell Larry something, he's going to get mad at me, or I'm going to be reprimanded or something. Like, who wants that type of environment or culture or anything? That shit right there is just already toxic to begin with. No one's happy. That is the type of stuff that affects your health, and then you're not happy and being in this unhappy toxic situation, and nobody wants that. So you want to make sure that open door, open communication is always encouraged at your business, in your team, in your organization. Hiring and delegating. This is important too, because when you are hiring, I know there's so many tips about how to hire, who to hire out there, but you know, the most important thing to me and is, you want to look at skills. What can you bring to this team? Or are you going to fit into this culture? Or is everybody going to get along? And if I leave for a day, is everybody gonna be cool, or is there gonna be problems within the team? And everybody just waiting for me to leave? So have confidence, and I also say use that intuitive skill. We all have some kind of intuitive skill where we just know, like, is he or she going to be good for our team here? Reflect your values and your vibe. Again, are we all going to vibe together? Do you still bring the same core values to this team and this brand that are important for our business? That is hiring. Okay. So stop hiring just to hire. I know that sometimes we had, and we need to have people, but we can't just stop hiring to hire. Okay, next, stop micromanaging and learn to trust. This is so empowering and for important for the people who feel like they have to do everything because how are you going to trust your team to do things where you're not him if you feel like it if you if you can't leave and leave them to do things done, you know? Yes, that might have to be a situation where you have to show them how there's something to be done. Like ordering things for your department or for your business. Okay, maybe there's a food order that needs to be done. Now it might be something where you need to show them how the food order is done one time, okay? And then the second time, you're going to go and let them put in the food order, get all the numbers together, but you're going to tell them before you send that order, we're going to look over it together so we can make sure that for everything we have right now, for the time we have, or for the time period, because this is a once a week order, okay? We're going to make sure the numbers are right before you send it. And then once you go over it together, send it. So that's now two interactions with each other. That should be good enough. If you have trained and you trust that they will do it right, then by that third time's a charm, they should be able to do it on their own. And you might not even have that second time. They might can just go and maybe look up a past order for something you placed before, but trust your team to be able to do the job. So when you're hiring, that's something that you need to look forward to. Like, is this person going to be able to be trusted to place orders or do some of the hard things that maybe I won't be around to do? Think about some of those things where you're hiring and delegating. Next is start empowering, let go of perfectionism. This this hits home because a lot of us are so focused on the perfectionism of things and we can't start things, we can't do things, we can't move forward on things because we think that everything needs to be in place, everything needs to be perfect before we can put it out there or move forward or build on top of it. But empower your team to do things, whether if that's to say you want to add a new menu item to your restaurant, right? So we're going to have a little team meeting and we're going to have everybody put in one item. Everybody put in one item and we're going to vote and see what item does everybody come up with. And then we're going to show everybody how to make that one item on the item that we all agreed upon it and voted upon. And we're going to implement that, with the things that we already have on deck, with the items we already have, with the supplies, the equipment, and the food that we already have. Empower them to do new things, because nothing stays the same. I mean, even Starbucks, they create new drinks, all the time for spring or summer or whatever. Like, empower your team to do good things when you're telling them to do really anything because you don't ever want to just shut down ideas or not empower them to try new things and because how are they going to grow and how are they going to help you grow and how is your business going to grow if you're not ever empowering your team to do anything new or try anything new. Let go of control and learn who should do what. Yes, this is important. Everybody brings a different skill set to the table. One person might be good with tech, one person might be good with customers, one good person might be good with, you know, creating new things. One person might be good with making beds, one person might be good with cleaning, one person might be good with cooking. You know, Try not to have so much control to where you feel like your hands specifically have to be in every single pot and you have to do everything. That comes back to that trust again. Having trust in your team is trust and control. They both play a part in when it comes to delegating. And it'll take so much off of you when you can just trust in your team, let go, and put people where they're strong. And that will help you as a leader, as the boss, be strong if you put them where they're strong, you know, and then that frees up your time to do so much more than what, you are currently doing. So here's my question to you. What's one thing you can delegate this week or today or tomorrow or this month? Moving on. Creating SOPs, standard operating procedures for those who didn't know what SOPs were. Create simple systems that help you stop doing everything and get consistent results. This is important, especially in the food and hospitality industry because or service-based industries because um, people always expect the same kind of quality of food. They always expect the same service when they go somewhere. And I love to use In and Out as an example because I feel like anytime I go to In and Out Burger, it's that long line and it's always one to maybe two people outside taking orders. Then you get to the first window where you paying for your stuff and then they go over every single thing that you ordered to make sure that they got it right. And then you go to the second window and they give you all your stuff and they put all the burgers together and they put all the fries together and all the drinks together. Ask if you need anything. You always get like the same order of service. And even when you're getting hired at In-N-Out Burger, like you have to start from the bottom, you know? You don't just start as like a cashier. I mean, I've never worked for In-N-Out Burger, but this is what I have been told when it comes to their systems, like because everybody should know how to do everything. So if somebody calls out or something happens, Jimmy, who's on the cashier today, might need to get pulled into over here making French fries, and the French fry person might need to go over here and do the drinks. Everybody should be well rounded, simple systems in place to so everybody knows and everybody is well informed and things can just flow easily just in case things happen. The team should execute these systems as well with every customer client, delivering excellent service every time. Exactly, right? Having those simple systems, things can continue to flow easily without any kind of problems. Everybody will be able to help out everybody. So I love using In and Out as an example because, we see that when we go to In and Out Burger, you'll see it in, hotels. When you go to five-star hotels, you're always going to have somebody come in and greet you. And, you're going to expect certain little things every single time when you go to this hotel. You'll spend extra money going to this hotel instead of, you know, you go to Hotel A instead of Hotel B because I know that when I go there, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this service. I'm going to get greeted. I'm going to have this waiting in my hotel room for me when I get there. So having simple systems can create that same quality of service every single time. Managing stress and protect your energy. Now, after all that is said and done, now it's time to bring it into you and make sure that your energy stays good because we all know that being a boss is it's exhausting. I mean, and it's gonna be days where you feel like, oh, Like it was such a long day. So some things that can help you manage your stress and protect your energy is learning boundaries. Like this was a big one for me a couple years ago. And I've had to even teach some of my good friends, saying no and not feeling bad about saying no. I have things to do, not answering your phone, just because, your best friend is calling. If it's an emergency, send me a message, let me know it's an emergency, or you have to call somebody else. The only people that I'll probably answer for during daytime when I'm working is when my kids are in school and the school is calling. Okay, so I can make sure it's not an emergency. But if you're not at school, and maybe my husband, I'm not answering that phone. Okay, like people have got to know, like, look, I'm not available at these times of the day. Like, and we have to stop feeling bad about saying no. Like, why are you feeling bad? We all have things to do, and we can't be there for everybody all the time and cater to other people's wants and needs when we're growing. Okay, so we have we have to learn boundaries. It's not always about saying no. It's whatever boundaries are going to help you be your best self and show up as your best self without all the extras. Okay, mindset resets. You know, um, we've since the pandemic we've had a lot of things where it's like imposter syndrome and not feeling like we're not good enough and and we just have to just reset our mindset and that lack and that negativity. Like like girl, it's okay. Like it's okay. And routines that keep you grounded. Make sure you take time for breaks in your day. Like I was saying this earlier, when it comes to conflicts and stuff, sometimes you might have to walk away and say, hold on, just give me a minute. Let me go figure something out and go to your office, close the door, and just like, oh my God, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take that, take that deep breath. Um, I know a lot of people, especially in the corporate world, where they're like working at their desk, on their lunch breaks, and it's just like, go to lunch. Go take your 10-minute break, like outside this office. Go look at the sky, walk around, go, get a snack, whatever the case may be. But make sure you take that time for yourself. And that is it on our presentation today. So here's some information on how you can work with me. You can go to my website, boss-lady-rc.square.site. You can book a consultation with me. You can go to my Calendly, calendly.com/boss-lady-rc/15 minutes. I also have the How to Be a Better Boss guide. That is $20. And you can just click the link and go to PayHip and pay that $20. And it breaks down so much more than just the things that we went through. I think I have like 20 pages worth of like good stuff on here, just breaking everything down from emotional intelligence to customer service to walking through your customer day. And that's actually some of the things we're going to go over tomorrow. I'm not going to go into too in depth about tomorrow, but that is some of the things that we're going to do. Or email me at shoploveRC@gmail.com. So I just want to thank you for being here. This is my first virtual event, and I hope I didn't move too fast for anybody, but I would love to work with you on your personal or business development and your goals in your business or in your life. So hit me up. Thanks for being here. See you next time.